Welcome to the book launch of Manji the Boatman. We are very, very excited here today, and we are excited to have all of you join us on this wonderful occasion. And before we begin, let me show you a little teaser to what this book is about. Hello, everyone. Hope you could see that video. This was a little teaser about this wonderful book that Dr. Rajan Shankaran has written, Manji the Boatman. And I would like to introduce now two very wonderful personalities whom I'm very excited to have on board. First and foremost, Shireen Bhan. Shireen needs no introduction, but a little bit about her here. She has been responsible for breaking a range of news stories that have redefined the economic landscape in recent times. And she's interviewed some of the biggest names in business and politics, both domestic and international. She anchors various shows and has won many prestigious awards for her team at CNBC TV 18. She is the managing editor of CNBC TV 18. Welcome, Shireen. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thanks very much, Sukrita. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here today speaking to you and to Dr. Rajan.
Thank you. And we have Dr. Shankaran here. Dr. Rajan Shankaran also needs no introduction. He is a world class homeopath, but more than that, he is a philosopher, a guide, a teacher, and he has really helped many along the way. And he's written over 25 books on homeopathy, but today is special because he's written his first ever novel, Manji the Boatman. Welcome, Dr. Shankaran.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So now, let's make this a little exciting. So Manji the Boatman is about a Manji, somebody who's a guide. So we would like all of you to tell us a little bit about who's the Manji in your life. So just a little bit about this right here. Yes. So, who came into your life as a guide and aided your inner transformation and growth? Shireen, isn't this wonderful that we can discuss about our own personal Manji stories as well?
Absolutely. I think that is the perfect start to what promises to be a very exciting conversation with Dr. Rajan. And since you have put this up, Shukrita, for all of us, let me start by putting on the table my own Manji story. I think the way that you captured Dr. Rajan was perfect because he is a friend, philosopher, guide, mentor, teacher to so many people. And so my Manji story here that I'd like to share is how he came into my life in 2010. And I remember going to him and I didn't know what to expect. But at the end of that fairly long session, my first session with him, I came away truly understanding what somebody said, that the greatest gift that you can give someone is the purity of your attention. And that afternoon, when I sat with Dr. Rajan, is when I truly understood that, because that is exactly what he did. He gave me the purity of his attention, which I believe is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to another human being. And he sat there and he heard me and he saw me without any judgment. He didn't give me a to-do list. And I think that if you read through this book, and you're hoping for a to-do list, you won't find one. But he heard what I had to say, and he saw me for who I was. So in many ways, I think he has been a very important, a very significant manji in my life. So I wanted to kickstart the sharing of stories with that particular story. So Dr. Rajan, it's an absolute pleasure for me to get the opportunity to speak with you and actually ask you the questions, because otherwise it's always him asking me questions about how are you feeling, what dreams are you having, what does it mean to say that it's feeling dark and lonely. So let me flip the questions and ask you the questions today, Dr. Rajan. And what I am going to do for the benefit of our audience who's joining in, I will read out passages of the book so that you get an understanding of what this book is trying to say. And then we'll get Dr. Rajan to explain to us the thoughts behind the writing. So let me start by going to page 27. The chapter is called Monkeys Eat Bananas. And the reason why I'm picking this up is because this is exactly what he had told me in our very first meeting. The book says, every situation is an experience. It is like a movie. There is comedy, there is romance, there is horror, there is tragedy. We watch the whole movie without saying that we want only this part or that part. When we do that, we are living in the experience in the now, and there is no conflict in our minds. There are some moments of silence. If we replace must or should be or should not be with is, life will be simple and flow smoothly. When we fight with what is, we create conflict within ourselves and with others. So, Dr. Rajan, let me start by addressing that very issue. I think this is a conflict that most of us live through, experience at different parts of our lives. We are experiencing life in a certain way, but we want it to be a certain way. We are experiencing work or relationships or whatever it may be in a certain way, but we expect them to be a certain way. And the point that you're trying to make in the book is not one of inaction, but one of acceptance. So I want you to start there.
Well, first of all, Shireen, thank you for, being a part of this launch. I'm very, very happy about that, because I feel a very close personal connection with you, and we share a bond that is very, very beautiful. So it's nice to have you here. Thank you for that. Secondly, you see, you started by saying that, the greatest gift somebody can give is of pure listening, just to hear and to recognize and to know what the other person is going through, Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan says the same thing. He says, Vaishnava Vajana to tene kahiye je pida parai jane re. The man of God is one who knows the suffering of the other, who is open to listen and to know what the other one is going through. That's the first step of, any kind of communication, that you listen. In the same way, as we listen to other people, we need to start listening to ourselves, to become aware of who we are and what is it that's going on inside of us. So I would like to say something, maybe I can convey this properly or not. Let's see. The thing is that, when we think, what is the goal? What is the purpose of our life? What do we want? And then we think, we want money, we want good relationship, we want enjoyment, we want spiritual enlightenment, we want. So we put a goal that is to be reached, somewhere in the distant future, maybe. But as time passed by, and through all the wisdom that I garnered from so many different wise people, I realized that if we change this goal and say the goal of our life is simply awareness of the moment, what is it that's going on inside of us? What is it that's going on in the other person? Just to be aware itself is the purpose, is the goal. And in that way, you become like a spectator of your own movie. The whole idea of life is to watch your own movie all the time. And if this is the goal, if this is the purpose of your life, then everything is meaningful. You see, there is no preference. There is no, I want this and I don't want this, because whatever there is, you are just aware of it. That's all. And when you live in the awareness of the moment and completely observant of what's going on inside, you are fully present, fully alive. The mind actually stops functioning, because the mind's action is, planning for the future or memories of the past. It's not fully alive. It always, what the mind does is it classifies your current experience according to something from the past. This is good, this is bad, this is how it was, yes, I remember. No, it's not alive to the moment. It's not. Every moment we are creating a different kind of reality right now, at this very moment. This moment has never occurred ever before, and it's never going to occur even in 5 minutes later. So are we alive to what's happening right now at this moment? What's happening? Maybe there is some thought, some feeling, some sensation, some experience. Something is happening right now in your body and mind, without classifying this into anything. I'm excited, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. No, 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 no. Just what's happening right now. If you're alive to that, then you see, there are no preferences. I want this or I want that. So I just want to share an experience of yesterday. You see, we were in a car, Shukrita and me, we were traveling to meet some a relative, and we were going out to a restaurant and meeting some people and going to have dinner. And the place was like 30 minutes away from where we were. And it happened that there was a traffic jam because of God knows what reason. And we were stuck in the car for 2.5 hours. A 30-minute journey took 2.5 hours for us. And we were just sitting in the traffic. And you see, the mind thinks, oh, I should have been at the restaurant and I would have had this food, and that would have been good, but this is not good. Why this jam and what nonsense? And why did I get stuck? Maybe I should turn back. Maybe I should never have come. So what we are saying is that the food is good, but the jam is bad, so, but if we simply say, oh, that's a good opportunity to introspect. Let's see what's going on within me. Oh, there's a jam. Let's see how I feel and what's going on, and how can I learn the lesson of life of moving slowly and slowly and slowly with the, and one day we will reach, hopefully. But there's nowhere to reach. You're alive in the moment. This is what I, wanted to convey also through the book, that the entire the story of our life has to be one of awareness, and to observe, pleasure and pain, and good and bad, what we define as pleasure and pain and good and bad, like a movie. In a movie you have a tragedy, you have a comedy, you have a, whatever there is, you watch it, you see there's a suspense, there is horror, there is whatever, and you're watching it and experiencing it, isn't it? Now you're paying money for that, and here you're getting it for free. I mean, why don't you enjoy? So this is the thing. And yeah, and just take it as it comes. So you have to, this is the underlying philosophy that has helped me a lot in my life. It has helped me a lot, and keeps me alive and in the moment. you know Suppose there is a book launch right now. I might say, well, I hope there are more than 10,000 participants, but there are 200. So what? Just see what you feel. This is it. And each moment in a way creates itself. And we try to push it in one direction or the other. But if we see what is creating itself and what's happening in the moment, then we have a lot to be aware of. And awareness is the key of everything in my understanding. Sorry
Yeah,
for
I think
that long answer. Sorry.
no. While you were speaking, and you made that point about each one of us is a spectator of our own movies. I could only think that, my God, my movie would be terribly boring. So I surely wouldn't pay any money to watch my own movie. But and I just want to illustrate what Dr. Rajan is saying a little more deeply through what he has written in the book, because I think that this was another paragraph that really stood out and emphasizes the point that he made there about living in the moment, being present, and being aware. And he says, each one of us feels that in order to be happy, he should always be young, healthy, rich, loved, successful, good looking, and so on and so forth. We cannot eat a banana and be happy. We don't accept and enjoy what there is. But is it not true that you need these things in order to be happy? If you're young and rich, you will be happier than if you are old and poor. Is it not? I argued. Then how is it to someone who is not young or rich? But ask the one who is young and rich if he's happy. You will be surprised at what you will hear. That person will have many more reasons not to be happy, many things he cannot accept. Then how is one to be happy? I asked. That is what the monkey is here to teach us. We can be happy by just eating a banana if we do not have 100 conditions to being happy. And I think that's a very important point, that we put timelines to everything. We attach conditions to how we feel, and that sometimes creates its own set of conflicts. But I want to understand from you, Dr. Rajan, and I think a lot of people will take away and ponder on what you're talking about. But we live in a culture where the paranoid survive, go out there, kill the competition, ambition is everything, aspiration is everything. How do you find the balance between being able to better yourself, do more, do good, and at the same time, live in the moment, live in the present? How do you retain your aliveness and yet not be sort of hostage to the external world, to external validation, to external circumstances?
Well, I would say as follows, that there is an allure of money, power, competition, ambition, and whatever. And there is a impression created that this is what leads to happiness, or this is what leads to a fulfillment in some sense. But and I think that everyone should go through this to discover that it's not true. Because if you don't go through it, then you will always feel you missed out on something. I think FOMO, they call it, right? Fear of missing out. So, I'm missing something, but when you have been through it and you have achieved a degree of success, money, fame, whatever, ego satisfaction, etc., it's then that you realize that it's not going to give you what you want. And that, as I wrote, that the problem with winning the rat race is that you still remain a rat at the end of it. So basically, what is in the book is different degrees of awareness, different degrees of guidance. So there is guidance about relationship, there is guidance about money, there's guidance about etc., etc. So each one will take away from it according to the level of his own evolution in some sense. And I think that, having been through this grind myself, I realized that this is it's just an illusion that all these things are going to give you the real peace. It's not doing that. At least it's not for me. And when you function from a different place, a place of giving rather than getting, a place of contributing rather than grabbing from somebody else, a place of being who you really are and as a part of the fabric of creation, like an apple tree gives apples. If you also see yourself as a part of creation, then your own potential is brought out in a much, much more beautiful way. And you are fulfilled in all ways, and everything follows. Money comes, power comes, fame comes, but it's not that significant for you anymore. And you live in your own awareness and peace of who you are. And that's a really, really beautiful way to live. And the book illustrates that through many, many stories.
Yes, it does illustrate that through many stories. So I'm going to jump many pages ahead to page 212, because as Dr. Rajan was saying, the book guides us on how to look at your relationship with money, with the world, with each other. And that's what I want to pick up on, because I think so many people find conflict emanating out of relationships that they're in, whether it's at work or in their personal lives. And you say in the book, good relationship with another person depends on what you're looking for from it. If you're looking for a relationship to fulfill your needs, you're coming from a needy place. If you become aware of your true self, you will realize that you do not need another to complete yourself. If you enter a relationship from a place where you do not accept yourself as you are, you're not going to accept the other person as she is. A relationship based on the need and a lack of acceptance is doomed from the start. But once again, Dr. Rajan, we are so attuned to a culture where self-interest is seen as selfish, where sacrifice is the greatest form of love, where you're taught right from the very beginning that put yourself last, prioritize everybody else's needs, prioritize everybody else's feelings. And you're almost sort of in this constant popularity contest to try and see how much you can please somebody else, but you forget about how to please yourself. How does one, again, find this balance between living for oneself and living for other people?
Well, when we talk about relationships, as you brought it up, so what I also learned through also many wise people and through my own experience is that often in a relationship, there is a lot of expectation. We want this, we want that, we want that. And as long as the other one fulfills that, there is a kind of harmony. And the moment a little bit things are not fulfilled, then you start having conflicts and disappointment and depressions and whatnot. And also many times, the need to please somebody else or to do things for somebody else may not come from a place of purity in terms of what the other one really needs, but it's what can I do in order to win that person's love or win that person's loyalty. So in some sense, uh, our selflessness can also be based on our own insecurity. Now, when we want to overcome this kind of problems, we need to look inside our own selves and to know and to feel and to be sure that we are complete in ourselves. We don't really need anyone, Yes, there are needs in terms of, we need food, we need love, we need companionship, we need this, we need that. These are healthy needs, these are, emotional, physical, biological, needs are there. But there is a level of awareness that's a little bit beyond these needs also, in which you are not your body or your mind, you are your pure being, which is complete in itself, and if you are living each moment in awareness and in aliveness, nothing really matters. I honestly speaking, even if I were to die tonight, I don't see a problem. I mean, what's there? If I don't get up tomorrow, I hope it happens that way rather than in a hospital. But if I was to go tonight, it doesn't matter because I live every moment fully. I am complete. I don't need somebody to complete me. It's nice to have a companion. It's nice to have somebody, accompany you in the journey of life. It's nice to be of some help to someone and also take some help from time to time. This is fine, but an over dependence and over expectation and then disappointment and grief and non acceptance of the other person or of your own self, this can be overcome by awareness. And when that happens, then the relationship has a different quality. It has a quality of, as I think Khalil Gibran or somebody wrote, be like the oak tree and the cypress, growing, with side by side of each other, but not dependent on each other, and then it's beautiful. And this kind of relationship is general. When you meet somebody, you don't think, what can he or she do for me? you know you say, okay, we are two companions. You can say we are in the same boat, and maybe we can take turns at being the boatman.
Yes. Well, today that's the role that you're playing. And in fact, just to take forward what Dr. Rajan just explained, and I think he illustrates that even more deeply when he says, when we simply put aside our prejudices and listen, then we are able to see things as they are, which may be completely different from what we had imagined. No one is doing anything to you, they are just being themselves. They act according to their own natures, their own insecurities, and their own fears. I think this is a very profound way of thinking and a way of approaching things as we see them, because there is almost always a transference. When you feel a certain way, whether happy, sad, disappointed, bitter, angry, it's almost always on account of somebody else. He or she didn't do this and hence I'm angry. He or she did this and hence I'm disappointed. It's almost as if there is a transference of how we feel onto somebody else. And again, it comes back to the point about awareness, acceptance, and also recognizing our patterns. I think that is something very important that you highlight, that we have to be aware of our patterns, the kind of things that we keep repeating, which very often force us, constrain us, constrict us from really living our true potential.
Yeah. You see, one of the things in the book that also is very important are certain processes which guide you to look at your own pattern like through a mirror and to see what pattern rules or dominates your life. We have certain deep patterns within us, and sometimes somebody can tell you, first my father betrayed me, then my mother betrayed me, then my friend betrayed me, and now my wife betrayed me, and my dog betrayed me. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, that's your pattern, isn't it? If everybody is doing it to you, then it's you. Let's put it like this. So when you see the same thing in different aspects of life, it's probably a reflection of what's going on inside you. And the way out of it is also awareness of the pattern. Now, this awareness needs some kind of a guidance to go into, to look inside. And the book offers that kind of guidance also, where, step by step, one is led into the awareness of one's own pattern. And this awareness itself can be healing somewhere in diluting that pattern. So that's part of the story. But the other part of the story is that just like you have a pattern, every other person has a pattern too, and they perceive the world and respond to it according to their pattern. So instead of taking what people say and do personally, you need to look at what exactly they are saying and doing as their pattern, and what you are experiencing from that as your pattern. So you become a witness in fact of your own and the other one's pattern without reacting to it. And yeah, I mean, it's as simple as when you're driving a car and an auto rickshaw guy just crisscrosses in front of you, and you say, who the hell does he think? Is it his father's road? What is this lawlessness? What? All of that. Just understand that he went to an auto rickshaw driving school, and that's how they teach them, more or less, that you got to cut across, things like that. There's a whole, it's how they are, and what you experience is you. And then you see that there is multiple possibilities of the way that you can respond, and different people do in their own individual ways. So then you realize it's not the rickshaw driver, it's actually you who you need to look at. And the rickshaw driver only came to give you the opportunity. So God has actually planted him right on your path to make you see yourself. If you Then you say, thank you, rickshaw driver, thank you, you acted as my mirror, thank you a lot. And then life is beautiful.
You know, I understand what you're saying, but uh, in this quest to sort of live in the present and live in the moment, there is a lot of relearning that we are expected to do. Don't worry about the future. Don't focus on the future. Let go of the past. Let go of expectations of the future. Let go of perceiving the way that you believe it should be, but accepting it for what it is. In this process of letting go, how do we still retain our ability to feel, to not be indifferent, to not have apathy, to still be alive in this process of having to let go and relearn so much of what is something that we're accustomed to?
Well, there are two ways of looking at it. One is, as you said in the beginning, there are no do's and don'ts, or there's no to-do list in the book. So there is no here saying, don't think about the future, don't think about the past, let go of this, don't feel this. No, 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 no. In fact, the idea is that when you start becoming aware of the moment, of yourself, of your pattern, and of what really is, and you start living life with a philosophy of let me be completely alive to the moment, automatically all this past and future disappear because they are not in the agenda. You see, they drop off because they have no gum to stick on to. You're not giving them any kind of space, so you don't have to do it. Just by shining the light, the darkness disappears. You don't have to drive the darkness away. So in that way, all these things are quite automatic. You don't have to do anything at all.
I certainly hope that that's as easy as you make it sound. But
Oh, it's far easier than that.
well, that brings me to a paragraph in the book that again highlights the point that you were trying to make. And you say there comes a time in life when all the familiar ways fail you. It is when you realize that your way of living, which you thought was giving you what you wanted, has reached a dead end. When that realization comes, it's time to look at life in a completely different manner. Your logic, your reasoning, your arguments are of no value. What helps is when you question everything, when you look within yourself to find the answers, and when you realize that what makes sense is not necessarily what is true. Living your nonsense is living your truth. It means that you don't automatically accept what is being taught to you, that you take life as it comes and experience it to the full. How easy has it been for you to live your nonsense?
Yeah, I'm quite an expert at it by now. I I don't know how, but I never I never lived my life the way it should have been lived, and did what should have been done, or uh, I never wore clothes what I should be wearing or speak what I should be speaking. I just lived my own truth, and it has served me well. I just live my nonsense. I speak nonsense, I live nonsense, and I'm so happy with it. I want to share this joy of nonsense. When I walk on the street, and if a dog barks at me, I bark back at it. I feel that I have to greet it in its own language. So people who walk with me get embarrassed because I'm barking at dogs and meowing at cats, or I'm rolling in the sand, or doing what I feel. I'm so I don't want to I don't feel that I have to be into some box or of people's logic, and I don't accept anything. I don't accept what anybody says, as I feel it's his truth, not my truth. I want to live my truth. So I want to be more, and my truth is not what makes sense to anybody or even to me. It is what it is. Sometimes I want to kill people, and I live it. I don't kill them, but at least I'm aware that I want to kill somebody, you know and I live that truth for myself. And of course, then I take a distance, and I observe, and I don't make any excuses for it, or deny it, or push it under the carpet, or say no, 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 it's not true. No, 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 it is. What is.
Yeah.
I don't need to act upon it, but I am aware all the time of things that's going on inside me, and I don't try to make sense of it. I don't try to make sense of anything. I just become aware that, oh, this is how. I don't explain it. I don't interpret it. I don't say it's because, my mother took me into a park in my childhood. Therefore, I feel no, no, no. I have no explanations at all. I think all these explanations are theoretical. The truth is what is. And what is not what makes sense. It is what is. If you can be aware of it, and also live it. I mean, if you want to bark at a dog, do it. I mean, it's not a crime. Murder is a crime, so I won't go that far, but barking at a dog is not a problem.
You might start a whole new trend where instead of the laughing clubs, we might have barking clubs now across Mumbai.
Wow. You gave
That's
me
an
an
idea.
idea.
That's an idea.
You have given me an idea.
No, but to the point that you made, Dr. Rajan, about living your nonsense and negotiating your own life on your own terms without uh, being boxed into templates of what the world wants you to be or what anybody else wishes you to be. But we still live in a community. We still live in constructs, whether it's families or otherwise, or there are organizations that have rules, that have schedules and SOPs and so on and so forth. So how do you balance your nonsense with the sense that or the order that is often forced on you?
Well, it's how your spirit is, isn't it? I mean, I still wear clothes. You might have observed by this time that I don't go about naked. I still pay my taxes. I still obey traffic lights, and all of that. But my spirit is free, isn't it? I mean, when you live in a social circumstance, you have to follow the rules of society, not because they make sense or they don't make sense, but these rules is what kind of keeps a certain order. If I go and park in somebody else's parking spot, that guy is not going to be able to park his car. So I have to park in my spot, follow my rules, pay my taxes, and whatever. But these are in some sense, the things you have to do to belong to society. But it doesn't mean that you have still a lot of freedom to be who you are. And you must exercise the freedom within the the limitations of following social order. But most of us don't do that. Most of us don't do that. Most of us don't go to a park and just let go and run and shout and scream and uh, do what we want. It's not a crime. You are still part of society. And yes, so many of my in some of my retreats, we have spaces in which people, I encourage them to move according to their own nonsense. So we say, let your body move first. Let it move and allow it. Don't move it. Let it move according to its own pattern, and then people can go, and and the relief it gives you, it's so fantastic. It's so nonsense. You must all try this once. Just sit. Don't do it.
A truly a live demonstration of living your nonsense here, Dr. Rajan. Thank you very much for encouraging all of us to be as free spirited as you are. And if you follow him on Instagram, you will know that he truly does have a free spirit. But what I want to now ask you, we talked about patterns and we talked about recognizing them. I also want to talk about something which is also important, which you highlight through the course of the book, and that's about having perspective. And I think at so many points in our lives, forget, in a day, in fact, you go through these emotions of saying, oh, it's all come to an end. Oh, it's all, going to going to end in the worst way, or why have things turned out so badly for me? And it's almost always the worst case scenario that we imagine for ourselves, when in reality, it may not be the case. How do we bring perspective into our everyday lives?
Yeah. Can you repeat that in short? I got a little. I was. I didn't fully come out of my nonsense, so I missed half. And by the way, Shireen, I see in the chat box we have somebody who says he would love to join the barking club as well. So we have our first
We
member.
have created a movement. Now
On
I'm
that,
forgetting the question now. No, what I was trying to say
How
was that
exciting barking is. You see, we forget everything. We just have
I
to bark.
know. Absolutely. The question was, how do we bring perspective so that we don't feel this sense of being overwhelmed by events?
Yeah. So, you know, the answer is the same. I would say maybe a little different. You know, there are many ways to look at it. And one of the ways is to see ourselves in perspective, in the context of time and space. And what we think is overwhelming, you know, my God, so much disappointment, so much hurt, so much grief, so much tragedy, you know, all of this. How big are we, you know, how much time and space do we occupy relative to time and space itself, you know? So, as Shakespeare in something, he said, life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. You know, we make all this noise. I mean, our life is like a mosquito, you know, catch, it comes and goes, you know, and we make so much ado out of nothing. And this is one way to look at it. Another way probably is to look at what we have, you know, in terms of, you know, all the gifts that we already have, and try to be, you know, happy with that. And thirdly, you see, to use every situation as an opportunity to know ourselves and what's going on, and to in some sense pick up ourselves up and move forward, you know, and not get stuck into something and have the same thing repeated in our head. So there are many ways to, there are spiritual ways, emotional ways, you know, different ways to look at it. And the book actually explores many of these ways in which you can approach this issue.
Yeah, in fact, I'm just going to read out from page 20 to highlight the point that Dr. Rajan was making about perspective. When I stand watching a sunrise, or when I look at the full moon in all its glory, the thought that occurs to me is that this phenomena is beyond time. This has been happening for millions of years. Each time he looked at the sun, he connected to his own smallness and vastness at the same time. All our problems and conflicts seem small and momentary when we see them in the context of all space and time. And I think that was the point that Dr. Rajan was making as well. Sorry, Shukrita, you wanted to say something before we got lost in the moment.
In the moment, we were completely in the moment. No, I was saying that we are getting a lot of comments and in the chat box. So I would like to request everyone to mark it to everyone because they are marking it to only us as hosts and panelists. But if they would like what they are saying to be read by everyone, please mark it to everyone so we can all partake in it. And if you all have any questions with regards to what is being discussed, please do type in the chat box, and Dr. Shankaran will try his best to answer your questions as well. So yes, so that's what I just wanted to say, because we are getting a lot of questions and a lot of nice congratulatory messages, and yes, and they're loving the discussions that's going on actually, Shireen. So that's what's happening.
So
Well,
Arun is asking that whether, you know, you can get the book in the USA as well. So I
Yes.
want to say that the book is being released today, and you will get it across all platforms: Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk, Amazon.in, and
Yes.
also on our own publication house, onlinehmp.com. So you can get it from anywhere, and it's already available. So
yes, I have my copy right here. It's a stunning cover. So I would urge everyone to go out there and get this one, because this is very different from the previous books that Dr. Rajan has written. So it would be wonderful if you go out there and get the book. I think we're almost coming towards the end of our session, and I want to leave a few moments for questions if any do come in from the audience. But I want to go to page 229, because that's pretty much towards the end of the book, Dr. Rajan. And you remember the final words of Masi Harara. I look longingly at the forest on the other side of the river. Where can I find the boatman to ferry me across the water? Who can resist when the forest calls and gold has lost its glitter? You take oars in your own hands and row across the river. Who is Masi Harara?
Who is anybody, So we see the world through our own perspective. So everybody we see is us, ourselves, isn't it? I mean, so Masi Harara is also us only. Probably it's you. I don't know. Maybe you wrote under that, pen name. I don't know. Maybe it's Shireen. Maybe it's anybody. But what it's what is important is what is said, and what it says is that, who can resist when the forest calls and gold has lost its glitter? So when the forest means the place where you are with yourself, where you go into your own self, you go away from civilization in a figurative, metaphorical sense. You can still be here, but you are still in a forest because you're not attached to the world. And when that kind of call comes, you can't resist it, because gold has lost its glitter. What the world can offer you don't seems to be so, exciting anymore. And at that point, you take the oars in your own hands. So you don't even wait for somebody, a boatman, to come. You yourself become your own boatman. You sit and you row across the river. The river, of course, is also a metaphor for the two shores. One is of knowledge and one is of ignorance. So you, from ignorance to knowledge to wisdom. And this journey, you find, your own boatman within you, and take the boat. And for that, basically the time has to come and it has to happen. You cannot force it. And it doesn't matter, all this talk about enlightenment and all that. I don't subscribe to it, that we need to be enlightened and this and that. No, we are all enlightened. But at a certain stage in our life, we might find that, the time has come when you want to withdraw in some sense in yourself. Actually, you become more compassionate. It's not that you are detached. You become more compassionate. You become less self-focused. Compassion is an automatic, side effect of this kind of state. You feel, you can see, the suffering of other people, and if there is a possibility, then you can help. But if the other one is not ready, you can only do that much, you see. So you become the boatman at some point. Not only you are your own boatman, but you can become a boatman. But somebody has to come to your boat, the boatman cannot go chasing, come. When that person comes to the shore, you say, well, and here I'm reminded a little bit about one of the novels that I liked a lot, which is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. And I think my novel is also a little inspired by that one in some sense, where in the end, the protagonist becomes a boatman. That's how the novel ends, isn't it? Where he becomes a boatman. So that's basically the story.
Well,
Very nice, Dr. Rajan. Yeah. Well, we have some questions, Shireen, here for him. So, somebody is asking that very often people find it difficult to separate themselves from being observed, to observe themselves. How does one spark the moment of awareness? How does that happen?
Well, the answer is simple, that you go to Amazon and buy the book. And that's what the 1 hour we are doing, to sell you the book. Come on, do it.
Yes, I'm sure, sir. These dimensions,
I think it will give you certain triggers
right?
which can act upon you. And what I want to make a personal request is that, of course, you should get the book and read it. And I would love to hear your comments about it, and also about your manji in your life. And you have to write to the email. What is the email? Can you put
Rajan
it on the
Shankaran
chat
books
box?
at gmail.com. I'll put it on the chat box.
Yeah, Rajan Sankaran books at gmail.com. Yeah,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
can write to me. Secondly, if you like the book and if it triggers something in you, my request, my suggestion is that you share it with other people. Not the book, please, let them buy it, but you share the idea of the book with with other people. You see, I'm a salesman as well, if you didn't notice. So please let spread the book. The idea of the book is to spread it. And thirdly, my personal request again, that if you like or you don't like, also put your comments and reviews in platforms such as amazon.com or amazon.in, so that other people could also see what it did to you. So these are the thoughts, because my idea is that Shireen has been gracious enough to help us with the launching the book, and also she gave some good suggestions, and Shukrita has helped me a lot also. But at this point, this is all I want to do. I don't want to, the baby is out, and I have given it enough nourishment. So if it has to survive, it will survive. If it spreads, it spreads. If it helps, it helps. I am not going to do anything much more to try and sell it. So now it has to be organic. If it has good content and if it helps people, let it spread. If not, I'm happy if 5 6 people are helped by it or not, and that's it. And
in the times of a pandemic, Dr. Rajan, we don't want anything to spread. Let us share the book. Let us spread it. We don't want anything more to spread. So let's share this experience and the book with each other, and I think that would be wonderful. I know that Dr. Rajan loves singing. He loves music. He enjoys that. And I think what I find most endearing about him is his ability to break into song at any opportunity, at any given time, without worrying about the setting or people or anything like that. And I think that would be in the spirit of the book, Dr. Rajan, and us living our nonsense and living in the moment. I think that would be the most appropriate conclusion for this
Yeah,
evening.
normally organizers ask me to sing when they want to end a session, and they want people to clear out. So they make use of that. But I don't really care. So as long as I have an audience and they tell me, I will sing. Let me sing you a song. धीरे धीरे रे मना, धीरे सब कुछ हो रे, धीरे धीरे रे मना, धीरे सब कुछ होए रे। माली सींचे 100 घड़ा, ऋतु आए फल होए रे। धीरे धीरे रे मना, धीरे सब कुछ होए रे। माली सींचे 100 घड़ा, ऋतु आए फल होए रे। हे माझी रे, दूर है किनारा, कोथे जाऊ रे। माझी कोथे जाऊ रे। धीरे धीरे रे मना, धीरे सब कुछ होए रे। माझी रे माझी।
Yay! That was beautiful. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Rajan, for sharing your experience, for sharing your insights, for sharing your wisdom, and for just sharing joy and laughter. And really, as I said, encouraging all of us to live our nonsense and live more free spiritedly. I'm certainly going to try and do that much more. And I wish you the very best of luck, and I hope that you will continue to be the boatman in the lives of many, 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 many people. And I hope that people will be inspired to take this story forward and in fact also live their own stories and also help others live their true stories as well. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure joining you today.
Well, thank you, Shireen, and thank you, Dr. Rajan. It has been wonderful to have both of you and this beautiful discussion that we had about life and everything. It has been wonderful. And I would please encourage our participants to read the book, give us a review, please. Share the book if you found it interesting for you, and really spread the message, please. And we look forward to hearing from you about your Manji story. Dr. Shankaran is going to read your Manji story, and all the stories are going to be put up on the website. And the top 3 stories will get a signed copy of Manji the Boatman by Dr. Shankaran. So please do pen down your stories and send it to us at rajanshankaranbooks@gmail.com. I'm going to put it on Instagram as well. And I have also put it on the chat box. See you all then. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Shukrita, for
Thank
hosting.
you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Shukrita. Thanks, Dr. Rajan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.